The farmers are agitating, and uprisings are related to the lands which were acquired years or even decades ago. But with the growing and spreading urbanization, with the infrastructure of one kind, the highways and expressways compel the people, the farmers, to laborers and even fish workers in the coastal region to fight for their survival as well as for their rights. And when this is happening, it is really making one perplexed to find that every political leader, Ajit Singh to Rajnath Singh, who all reached Aligarh when 2 farmers were killed, the UPA leaders as well as Mayawati and others, all of them invariably reaching out to the farmers, no doubt, but have been taking a position that the Land Acquisition Act of the British days needs to be amended, and that would be the magical solution to the problem that is faced by the farmers in India. Now this is what we challenge and we question. First of all, because the land acquisition in itself is not the issue. The issue is planning of development in the name of public purpose in such a way that the private purpose and purses are getting filled and the state exchequer and the people's resource capital is getting grabbed and looted. And this is what is the scenario all over the country. So the Land Acquisition Act comes next. The first and the foremost is, what is it that can be considered as development that is kind of a public good or serves a public good and public interest. Now anything and everything is being called as the public purpose project, and the people in the villages for whom there is one part and parcel of the whole government, the system, which they also are considered to be part of, which is the local self-government. And that should be the part of the state that should get the primacy for planning development projects and plans. Now that is not happening at all. And the local self-government doesn't necessarily mean and should not mean only the Gram Panchayats to the district Panchayats. But it starts with the Gram Sabha, the people in the units which are the basic units, which are the most basic units of democracy. All the people and the voters in any village community as far as rural India is concerned or the tribal India is concerned, and the Basti as the Basti Sabha in the urban metropolis and megalopolis, these are the units which should get the primacy in development plan. Because this is not happening, the ready-made use of the British legacy and the Act, which is Land Acquisition Act of 1894, is being made in a most ad hoc and whimsical manner, one must say, by the rulers who are defining development the way they would like to, planning through the process which is totally undemocratic, are not bothered about the social and environmental costs, are not even considering the economic and financial viability, and are imposing on the people, the communities which are living communities of the farmers to fish workers, as I just said, and also the Dalits and Adivasis, whether in the rural or the urban India, whatever plans they would like to push. Using force and deceit, which is also another kind of force, they grab the land, they do not even consider the profit making that goes on with the land when it is transferred to the companies, contractors, builders or any investors of monetary capital. And hence those who are giving their land, their water, their part of their forest, their rivers, their sea coast, which is the indispensable capital development purpose are not given the due space and also not permitted to raise questions as if they have no role to play in development planning process. Now this is against the democratic principle, against the constitutional right, not just right to expression, but right to life, which includes right to livelihood. And hence when the livelihood in the form of natural resource base, the land as in Noida or in Kanjhavala or in Nandigram, in Singur, in Narmada, in the Raigad district of Maharashtra, in Kakinada of Andhra Pradesh or Thervoy of Tamil Nadu, the Dalit communities with which Gabriela and every one of us is fighting. When that is trashed, the people are not permitted to even raise questions or put forth their demands. And this is what is leading to the scenario which is of violence against violence. And we really question this. Now what is the solution, one would ask, when these political leaders are invariably referring to the amendment of the Land Acquisition Act? I must say that the amendment bill that is being presented before the Parliament, which happened thrice before but it could not go through for one reason or other. First, the agitations and the movements of the people everywhere and here in Delhi at the time of the Parliament sessions. Opposition by certain political parties, whether it is the opposition party, the NDA, the alliance that defeated the bill in the Rajya Sabha, in the Lok Sabha before last, or Mamata Banerjee and her Trinamool Congress who questioned and said no bringing in of the bill. Now whether it is till the Bengal elections and results or thereafter, one has to wait and see. Or whether it is because the UP government did not feel confident of facing their own electorate by bringing in this bill in the next elections. And this obviously has to be the fear in the minds of every ruling party or the opposition party, because just as corruption has become an issue across the country and the people feel agitated with the monetary corruption and the scams and scandals, it is well known today that the loot of the natural resources is another kind of corruption, the magnitude of which is not even evaluated. And hence no one knows how many crores rupees worth land is being transferred from the landholder community for whom the land is life support to those for whom it is a commodity, a market commodity. 60 lakh hectares of agricultural land has been diverted for non-agricultural purposes between 1990 and 2005. This is the figure and the statistics coming from the Economic Survey of India. And this cannot be considered as final, because in every dam, in every infrastructure project, in every megacity project, we have been seeing that the total magnitude of the land transfer or the resource transfer is never fully and fairly estimated, nor even the number of families that get affected by any of these projects. So even if it is the estimate, the official estimate, we know that 60 lakh hectares of land just within 15 years. So on one hand it raises the issues related to the food security. What would people eat if the land is transferred and agricultural land is gone for the real estate development or even industrialization? Now if it is industrialization the great, and if that needs to be given way, given land for by anyone and everyone, then let the industrialization take a toll of the parts of the cities, parts of the university lands, parts of the Rashtrapati Bhavan land. Will that ever happen? No, because the only entities which can be sacrificed and are being sacrificed are the rural and the urban poor communities. They are considered to be poor, but they are actually rich in the natural resources, which is the capital these so-called development planners are grabbing. Now the new land acquisition amendment is not the solution to these basic problems of either undemocratic planning or the transfer of resources in the wrong direction in the name of reforms to development. It is no reform and no development. And if you see the amendment bill, this is not the solution, I said, because that is redefining public purpose, and it is worse than what the British did. When the British said this act would be applicable for acquiring forcibly, no doubt, land for public purpose, they only referred to the government projects. Now it is only in 1984 that this act started to be being used for the companies, land acquisition for companies, and the latest bill is redefining the public purpose definition, including the private projects as a part of the category of public purpose projects. The subcategories, which include defense projects, infrastructure projects including health, education, and the third category, which is of any project for any public use by any person, and person includes individual, group, community, cooperative, or even a company. And that is where the private interests are going to come in, rather they are giving a space to come in. And that is where the agitations are questioning the governments, because although the so-called expressway appears to be a public purpose project when the government initiates it, the contractors of the infrastructure building works, as well as the corporates and the contractors and builders, the real estate agents who take away the land around the expressways and highways, all are in the corridors, and they are waiting, and they become the part of the grabbers in the large infrastructure or other projects. Now this is what the people realize, and they also realize that if land becomes a market commodity, because in the new amendment bill, which the readers are referring to, is no doubt bringing in some change, and that change is that if the third subcategory is what the act is going to be used for, then the corporates or the private agencies will have to first purchase 70% of land, and then the rest 30% can be forcibly acquired. But this is a conspiracy, as we have said it once before, because if they come to purchase the land with a threat that if they do not sell the land, if any farmer refuses to sell the land, then the rest of the land, the same land, can be forcibly acquired under the Land Acquisition Act, giving much lesser value or the market price. And that is where the political leaders then come in and say that give a good package. Now for Gurgaon or for Noida, if at all the communities on the outskirts of the capital of India can or may bargain for a higher price, the farmers in the interior and many communities, rural and Adivasi or Dalit communities, cannot have the best of the bargaining power. And even in Noida and Kanjhawala, the people have now realized what the game of the market price and market value is like. You buy it for the today's market price, and within 2 months or 2 years you get 10 times more. Now this is what happened when the textile mill land in Mumbai went to the National Textile Corporation first, not to the workers, and then the NTC sold it to India Bulls for 400 crores. The company earned 4,000 crores within 2 years. We raised the issue, we exposed them, the whole game of the market price, so on and so forth. So the farmers in Kanjhawala and farmers in Noida have been stalling the projects and saying that we don't want to sell the land. And we don't want to even quote the price, because